We have 8, is that right?
We have 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. Well, I hope today's going to be really interesting. I'm certainly excited about having another go at this because we tried it, something very similar with Wayne and the apprentices a while back in June, which has given us an idea to reflect about how to approach this with you guys. And as you probably heard by way of background, this is kind of linked to the R Research kind of project looking for a basis, an intellectual and practical basis for choreographic thinking tools, stuff that might help Wayne and you guys make movement structures in new and interesting ways. And one of the kind of important things for us as scientists is to figure out what it is that's going on in your heads when you're actually making dances, because we know very, very little about that. So the challenge today, and what I'm really excited about, is then for roughly half of today's session and half of tomorrow's session, you'll actually be making movement stuff. And half of the time, you'll be reflecting on what it was that you were doing when you were doing that making. And so if we just start off by thinking about how attention to information in the mind works, then that will help us to think a little bit about what this questionnaire is supposed to be getting at. If I ask you to focus for a moment on the sound of my voice, you'll probably notice for the first time that it's got a lot of high-frequency hiss in it that you hadn't been aware of before I started asking you. So the physical quality of my voice won't have been what you've been paying attention to for the first part of listening to me. You were listening to what I was telling you. But then when I ask you to pay attention to the physical quality of my voice, things come into your focal awareness that weren't there before. So it's a bit like, just as I ask you to move your attention around the visual world and say, you know, look at the quality of the texture and dance floor here, you'll be aware of the detail and aspects of the visual scene that you hadn't paid attention to before. So what happens when you pay attention to the physical quality of the sound in my voice is that something rather different is going on in your mind about what and how things are being processed. So things like the meanings of hiss and deepness become much more qualitatively different at the point when you're paying attention to things in a different way, okay? So maybe you'd like to just fill that out in terms of how you generally think you would be working, you know, on the whole, so that we've got to go at that. So just make the judgments about how you behave generally. And the questionnaires that you're going to be dealing with in each period of making are slightly different from this because they're all topicalized on the last period of making rather than what you do generally.